Hi, this is Karthik Rangappa, and in this video, I'll talk to you about a company's working capital. Imagine you're in the business of making chickies. Your business would largely involve two things. One, sourcing ingredients to make awesome chickies. Two, packaging those chickies and selling it to customers. In the context of this business, the ingredients required to make these chickies, be it peanuts, dry fruits, or the jaggery, has to be sourced from suppliers. Once sourced, these supplies become the current assets of the company. The business, as you can imagine, will also own other assets, be it a processing unit, maybe a dryer, and other machinery. These two are also assets of the company and be considered as long-term assets. On the other hand, you will have to pay off your suppliers for all the supplies. You have monthly utility bills, you have monthly rentals to pay. These can be considered as current liabilities of a business. So on one hand, we have current assets, and on the other hand, we have current liabilities of a business. Current assets are assets owned by the company which can be sold, serviced, or served such that these current assets convert to cash within 1 year. And current liabilities are basically bills which need to be paid by the business within 1 year. Now that we have a basic understanding of what current asset and current liability is, we can also define something called as a working capital of a company. Simply put, working capital is current asset minus current liabilities. So if a company's current asset is 100 and the current liability is 75, then the working capital of this company is 100 minus 75, that is 25. Do note, this is a positive working capital of a company. A positive working capital basically tells us that if there is a financial trouble in the company, then the company can always sell off its current assets to pay its current liabilities and clear all the dues. Investors always look for companies that have a positive working capital. But let's look at the working capital of Maruti. Current assets has been less than current liabilities for many years in the past, leading to a negative working capital. Does this mean it's not a great financial position to be in? Not really. Let me explain. Let's go back to the chickie business example and look at few things from the business perspective. You source your ingredients required to make chickies from a vendor. Do you want to pay your vendor right away, or do you want to pay your vendor later on? From a business perspective, it makes sense to pay your vendors later because paying them later implies that you have more cash at hand today to run a smoother business operation. The chickies that you prepare, do you want to sell them instantly, or do you want to store them at your facility and sell them later on, maybe 15 days or 20 days later? Of course, you would want to sell them instantly. In other words, you want to maintain low inventory levels. And lastly, the customers who buy these chickies from you, do you want to give them the chickies, let them enjoy the chickies at their home, come back later and pay you? Or do you want them to pay you right away when you sell them those chickies? Of course, you would want them to pay you right away. If you were to put these in a working capital kind of equation, then the equation would look like receivables plus your inventory minus payable is your working capital. From a business perspective, a low receivable, a low inventory, and a high payable indicates that the business operations are efficient. But from a working capital perspective, this leads to a negative working capital. So the next time you see a company with a negative working capital, don't be in a hurry to dismiss it. In fact, the company could be in a great position. But that said, the next time you come across a company with negative working capital, keep the following in mind. A fairly high payable on the balance sheet along with a negative working capital indicates that the business is running on your supplier's money. The payable should not be so large where a company slips into a position of not being able to pay back its suppliers. A situation leading to a negative working capital is deliberately crafted by the company's management. So always make sure you pay attention to what the company has to say about its operations. And I hope you found this video useful. If you know any companies with negative working capital, do mention that in the comments below. Happy investing!